Okay, let's dive right into this explainer and unpack the rigorous quality management system that keeps environmental impact assessments, or EIAs, scientifically and legally robust. Because, if you've ever wondered how major infrastructure and industrial projects actually get the green light, the answer lies entirely in the data. And more importantly, how that data is verified and protected from the very beginning.
Right? It's a critical question, and today we'll see exactly how the NABET accreditation scheme enforces a system that keeps environmental data completely honest. Look, when massive projects are proposed near sensitive ecological zones, we need absolute certainty that the environmental data isn't just, well, guesswork. We need a system that ensures facts, accountability, and total accuracy. So, here is our agenda for today. First, systemizing environmental impact. Second, securing the information trail. Third, the multi-tier review. Fourth, assessment and scoring. And finally, number 5, the accreditation cycle. Let's start with Section 1, Systemizing Environmental Impact, the Foundation of Quality. This represents a massive, fundamental shift in how EIAs are produced behind the scenes. We are moving entirely away from relying on a single expert and moving toward an airtight, system-oriented approach under a formal quality management system, or QMS. Historically, the industry leaned really heavily on individual brilliance, but NABET mandates a process that's way bigger than any single person. The core QMS mantra for consultant organizations is beautifully simple: saying what we do and doing what we say. It's absolutely not about a dusty quality manual just sitting on a shelf somewhere. It's about actively creating a daily operational culture where standard procedures are followed without exception. And by systemizing this process, organizations eliminate wasted effort and lock in the absolute integrity of their baseline data. This drives incredible consistency across all projects, promotes uniform knowledge sharing, and, crucially, catches errors super early, long before they can actually compromise an assessment. Moving on to Section 2, securing the information trail, field to final report. Because ultimately, a system is only as good as the raw data it collects from the outside world. To really trust an EIA, we have to follow the data like a detective tracking a chain of custody. You simply cannot base a multi-million-dollar environmental decision on shaky data collection. Every single sample, every measurement has to be tracked, verified, and protected. Under Sections B6 and B7 of the guidelines, primary data requires incredibly strict field protocols, while secondary data can never, ever replace primary data and has to be aggressively cross-verified at the site. Primary data means actually getting boots on the ground, standardized sampling for air, water, and soil. And when secondary external data is brought in, it's subjected to intense scrutiny to prove its authenticity and relevance. And when it comes to the lab, under Section B9, the mandates are crystal clear. Consultants must use NABL accredited or MOEFCC recognized labs. The EIA team can't just outsource the work and wash their hands of it, right? No, they have to actively supervise site-site sampling and ensure the chain of custody for the preservation and transport of those samples remains completely unbroken. Okay, Section 3, the multi-tier review, the filter. Once that data is secured, this is where it gets put to the test. As per the standardized QA/QC format, specifically QFM 044, every single report runs through a strict 3-step multi-tier internal review before it ever sees the light of day. It starts with the principal investigator. Then it's passed up to an EIA coordinator or department head who checks it against rigid quality criteria. Finally, the head of the organization grants the ultimate approval. Which brings us to the ultimate safeguard here. You cannot grade your own homework. The golden rule of objectivity dictates that the reviewing and the approving functions absolutely must be performed by different people. This guarantees that any blind spots or internal biases are caught by fresh eyes before the report is finalized. Section 4, Assessment and Scoring, the grade. So, how exactly is all this homework quantified? Well, organizations face a rigorous quantitative scoring matrix. A highly accurate site and project description can earn up to 20 points. Meanwhile, rigorous baseline data methodology, environmental impact predictions, and social impact predictions each carry a max score of 10. It is a comprehensive technical audit of the entire document. But the crucial takeaway is this specific number, 70%. A minimum internal score of 70% is absolutely required for the report to be considered ready for submission to regulatory bodies. If a report doesn't hit that threshold, it doesn't move forward. It goes right back to the drawing board for revisions until it proves it meets the standard. Finally, let's look at Section 5, the accreditation cycle, the stakes.
What happens when organizations actually face the accreditation body? NABET aggressively scales up the weightage placed on report quality over a 3-year cycle to enforce continuous improvement. At initial accreditation, report quality is 10% of the evaluation. By the surveillance assessment, it doubles to 20%. And at reaccreditation, it jumps to 30%. You literally cannot rest on your laurels in this system.
And the stakes are incredibly high. Failing to hit quality thresholds or fudging data isn't just a slap on the wrist. It can result in a red status or the total suspension of a consultant's accreditation. If a firm loses its accreditation, it loses its ability to conduct these assessments altogether. The whole system is designed to weed out bad actors and mandate excellence. In fact, before an organization can even apply for an assessment, they have to meet strict readiness requirements. It's basically a binary threshold. If your quality management system isn't fully operational, documented, and actively answering quality control questions, you simply aren't permitted to participate. So by removing individual reliance, securing the information trail, enforcing strict peer review, and holding consultants to an ever-rising standard, the NABET framework builds trust right into the very foundation of environmental planning. When industrial projects are proposed near your water supply or wildlife sanctuaries, these QA/QC protocols are exactly what ensure the data protecting your environment is fact, not fiction. Ultimately, it leaves us with one really critical question to ponder. Can you trust the data shaping our future?